Thank you, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, Mr Hanson. I want to congratulate my colleague, the member for Stockton South, on securing this important debate. He spoke passionately and persuasively about what is at stake in our future relationship with the EU and why we must get it right. We've heard today a number of particularly useful contributions and points made forcefully, and I think it is testament to how important this topic is that we would all benefit from additional time. I want to thank the member for Ealing Central and Acton for her contribution, the member for North Belfast, the member for Gordon who talked about the importance of working with EU partners, the member for Brighton Kempton who reminded us that we shouldn't disadvantage NGOs based in London when leaving the EU given the work that they do, and the member for Dundee West who talked about the importance of our relationship with the EU and the impact of our global capacity to respond to natural disasters if funding streams are not available to the sector. I think we've heard today how important it is that the government lays out a clear and unambiguous position on what we want from a future relationship with the EU. That simply has not happened yet. We do have a government position paper from September, but it is remarkable only for its ambiguity. As of the end of February, we now also have the so-called non-paper that sets out a UK perspective on development instruments for the 2021-2027 general EU budget. It provides a little more detail, but it runs the risk of the government again wanting to cherry-pick, to have our cake and eat it, and to demand more creative thinking from the EU to solve their own lack of imagination and focus. We've heard today that our humanitarian and development partnership with the EU is too important and has too great an impact on the lives of the world's poorest to warrant dragging our feet or sliding into a snail's pace of negotiation. I believe this House has heard loudly and clearly today that decisions over future funding contributions to the EU must be guided not by short-term political horse trading, but by the impact they will have on the lives of the world's poorest. We must not allow the lives that are at stake to become simply a bargaining chip. We've heard today from members that although not perfect, EU development and humanitarian programmes are well proven as an effective value for money delivery channel for the UK. They have scored very highly in our own multilateral aid review, and they allow us to pool resources and expertise to coordinate better on the ground, to reach a greater number of countries, to take to scale what we do, and to influence how over €75 billion worth of aid funding is spent. That translates into real lives saved, real girls put in school, and real crises averted. Mr Hanson, there is a groundswell of support for the UK remaining progressive, outward-looking, generous, and a global leader on international development once we leave the European Union. We must not turn inwards. We must not abandon our partnership with Europe, even as we leave the European Union. And I hope the Minister will not give credence to those who disingenuously say they want to take back control of the aid budget from Brussels, only to stop spending it on helping the world's poorest. So the government now needs to make up for lost time, set out an ambitious, bold, clear vision and get on with it. There are just weeks and months to do that, and the clock is ticking. Mr Hanson, as we do that, it cannot just be government talking to itself. We need to hear the voices of civil society and of people in the global south this will affect. We need to hear the voices of the organisations that know the EU's development and humanitarian programmes best and who understand the impact that decisions will have. And we need to hear the voices of the thousands of international development workers whose jobs in the UK are at risk. And we need to hear the voice of Parliament and ensure that there is proper space and time given for members to scrutinise the government's vision, debate it and shape it. That must be much more than one Westminster Hall debate. Thanks only to the member for Stockton South for forcing it. I hope the Minister will commit to significantly expanding that space for future debate on this topic in the coming weeks, because so far it has been woefully insufficient. Mr Hanson, our future relationship with the EU is simply too important to fail, and we need to get on with ensuring it does not. I thank all the honourable members for their excellent contributions today and look forward to the Minister's remarks. Thank you.